I'm a bit knackered. Been up since 5 and it's about nearly 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so get a bit out. Still have to get up at blooming 4 tomorrow, so I'm attempting to stay awake with coffee. Anyway, I've been playing this for quite a while. I've completed quite a bit of it. Moved along a bit. I just fancy doing a video because I'm a bit... And I find if I talk, I stay awake longer. I'll turn down the disco a little bit as well. It's a good job I don't get AdSense money, or I'd be constantly giving it to bands where, well, usually with music, it's the firms that produce the music, not the actual talent anymore, because most of the talent who I like have been dead for like 20 years. Anyway, see, my Max looks very different. He looks like Roy from Very Nearly Viral. Let's get some under some light. Here we go. There we go. See. I upgraded to the Max on Max. And it's basically like standard combat gear. You know, and the knuckle dusters are a lot tougher now. Alright, into the vehicle.
They'll die out there.
Yeah, I need to remember what I was going to do. Big old map, you see. I think I'll take out... Actually, I need to clear this area a little bit more.
Propelled by the elements. It's not right, I tell you. Question is the only way to fly.
I've virtually maxed out most of the car now. The armour on the car's heavier. The engines are still V6s, not V8s yet, but I'm going the wrong way. But the spikes on the wheels are at their maximum now. So when an enemy vehicle's trying to run me off the road, I can grind them pretty bad. I'll take out that scarecrow and then oh, actually, should be someone. Where is he then? Must be up on this ridge. I've got the nitros at maximum now, so I can catch up pretty quick. I can't upgrade the repair rate though yet. I think I've got to unlock that doing some sort of mission.
Lie low here.
Bit of hay fever, so my voice might sound a little bit weird. I had a quite weird YouTube moment earlier today. There's this lunatic from America called Joseph Martelli, and I took the mickey out of him like nearly a year ago. On I can't even remember what I was doing. I think I was on a hangout with the YouTube Reghead. You know, it was the first time I saw Ryby Jenkins, and I found her very funny. I often check out her channel. You should as well, because, you know, she's cute and funny, and she's completely nuts like me, so... Except for her nuttiness is agoraphobia, which I can understand. I used to have agoraphobia when I was a teenager. Mainly because I was bullied at school, which wasn't pleasant. Oh shit, 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 shit. Fucking suicide bomber. I was going to do one of these yesterday, but I was so fucked off with what's happened over the last sort of week and a half on Twitter. I got shadow banned on one of my two profiles. So I started another one, and I don't know how why it happened, but basically I got it got frozen. You go round in circles in this thing where you have to give them your telephone number, and I'd send it, and then it'd just pop up again saying show us your telephone number. And I think it's something in Twitter that because I was I wasn't argumentative, but I wasn't holding back from my criticism of some right-wingers, which I find very weird about Twitter, in that they're, you know, when you've got someone as hateful as the sort of nutters I've been talking to for the past week. Well, yesterday I spent nearly 4 hours arguing with idiots who were like the followers of Razor Fist, who I like Razor Fist's reviews, and I quite like his reviews, particularly of the Shadow, because I'm a big Shadow fan. But his politics are terrible. He's got very right wing Texas style politics, and he basically came out with the same old rubbish I've heard from a lot of right wing Americans, that what happened on London Bridge wouldn't have happened if everyone was carrying guns. And I in the end I found myself repeating what I'd said more than one time, where basically I was pointing out, well, if the public had guns, the terrorists would have had guns. And if the terrorists had guns, then the death toll would have been massive. But these idiots, some of the stupid things they were saying. What one bloke was arguing with me when I produced information on how many children die because of America's wacky gun policies, and he said, oh well, it's part of their rights to be killed. And I was like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. But well, Trump's just as bad. He put out some weird trolling thing about Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan put out a message saying that, you know, the police are in charge on the spot, no need for panic. And Trump took it completely out of what it was, saying that London Mayor Sadiq Khan says don't panic about Islamic fundamentalism. And you just like, that's not what he said at all, you fucking idiot. Still, my theory is that Trump is, well, he's made a big deal about trying to put out some sort of ban thing on people travelling from Qatar, which is weird because the ban doesn't extend to Saudi Arabia, that's also been financing a lot of terror groups. And I think he's just doing it because he wants everyone looking the opposite way. Every time I go on his Twitter, I say, so when are you going to start building that wall? You know, because that was one of his big promises during the election. Gonna build a wall! and he's produced bugger all since. You know, I've spoken to people who live in Arizona and Texas and all that, and initially some of them seems to be quite pro the idea, but then I think it started hitting home that this is going to be ridiculously expensive. They're going to have to get in loads of workers and have to house these people somewhere, and the bridge, it'll have to bridge over water and mountain regions, and it's all going to become very expensive very, very quickly. And I don't believe for a minute it's even going to be built. I think Trump's just full of shit. That it was just something he made up, because he seems to just pull things out of nowhere. It's actually quite frightening that someone this arrogant and this stupid is in charge of the nuclear codes, because there was always that thing about how George W. Bush wasn't exactly the brightest human being, but Bush's temperament completely the opposite end of the scale. He was always laid back. Even when he was being mocked, you know, I remember seeing him being sort of savagely Mickey-taked at one of those press White House dinner things, and he was smiling along with it, and you know, he wasn't taking it to heart and things. I can't see Trump doing that. Just I'm just still amazed at how much bullshit he puts in tweets. These tweets all the bloody time, and some of them are idiotic and crazy talk. Because I went a little bit right-wing last year, and I was defending him on a few occasions, and it was mainly because I can't stand neoliberals like Hillary Clinton. But I'm thinking now it would probably be better for the world, especially from an ecological point of view, if Hillary had one. That maybe having Tangerine Man as president wasn't such a great move. I think the biggest backfire over the whole of the Trump thing as well has been the war on drugs, because he's put in charge of the I can't remember what they called it. They don't use ministers in America, it's something else. Basically he's in charge of the policing. They've put a right nutcase, a real right-wing loon, who wants to put in harsh prison sentences for people carrying small amounts of marijuana. What the fuck's he doing? Some bloke called Jeff Sessions, and he's just fucking... I watched him on the TV, and I thought, how can this man even be in politics? He talks like a bloody 5-year-old. Just I foresee basically America turning into a complete shit show for the next 2 years, and then something will happen. Trump will look really stupid, and hopefully they'll kick him out of office. Because I follow a podcast called the Supervillains Anonymous, and they were talking about how how well. A lot of people are saying that the midterm election thing will come, and there's a possibility the Republicans are going to lose really badly, and that this might mean that Republicans will want to drop Trump like a bad habit very, very quickly. That much of his pomp and yelling has it basically his first 100 days, the only major thing he did that was a positive was the TPP thing, because he keeps fighting the courts over these stupid bans that aren't going to prevent terrorists getting in the country, because there's plenty of other ways that they can get into the country. You know, it's like the 9/11 hijackers, they got in the country via Canada. It's not like America isn't an island like Britain. If we closed the Channel Tunnel and put shipping around, you know, there you go, line them up a bit. Take that, you bastard. Oh, I've got another little gadget here. What's this? Oh, no. Oh, whoa. Line it up. Sideburners. The only problem with them is that they use up your fuel. You got to be careful, because you can sometimes set fire to your own car whilst you're doing it. Right, shotgun. Got a shotgun. It's a Resident Evil. The first one. I've actually got Resident Evil on the machine. I've got to sit down at some point, play it through, because it's the updated version. I think it was on the PlayStation 3 a couple of years ago, but I got it completely for free as a digital download. Uh-oh. Watch out, sniper about. Oh, he's crashed. Boomstick. Whoa. Ah, get off. Oh, shit, whoa. The only problem with the extra increase in body weight of the vehicle is that you can spin out a lot easier, and with the booster, you got to be careful boosting, especially when you're on a corner. You can lose control of the car and it starts spinning. Goes completely out of control. Oh God! Ooh. Well, not tonight, not tomorrow night, but maybe the night after. I will be going to the cinema to see the Wonder Woman movie, because I've heard it's not actually that bad. It's not wonderful. It's not like Captain America wonderful, because the Captain America trilogy is probably my favourite superhero trilogy. I actually like it more than the Christopher Nolan Batman series, because the Christopher Nolan Batman series, the second and third film basically just feel very much the same. They feel like sort of action movies being something they're not really. But the Captain America movies, each movie has been like completely different, which I really liked. I particularly like the first and second ones, because the first one had that wonderful sort of 1940s Indiana Jones quality that I really like, from films like The Shadow and The Phantom, Raiders of the Lost Ark, that sort of stuff. And then the second movie had this brilliant, it was very much like 3 Days of the Condor. It felt basically like I was watching a Tom Clancy thriller. It didn't feel like a superhero movie.
This could work as cover.
But I really enjoy the Captain America films. I really wish they'd make a Nick Fury movie with, you know, Nick Fury, Sam Jackson being the central figure, because his stuff, particularly the scene in Winter Soldier where he's in the van on his own, he's in his SUV on his own and he's been ambushed and he's defending himself. It's so cool. You know, it was a brilliant film anyway, but just, you know, he sort of slightly stole the show from the rest of the characters. But yeah, I really enjoy the Captain America films. I quite like the Iron Man films, but I think there's something about, particularly the second one, that I felt a little bit. I like the third one because the third one decided to not be sort of try to be something of its own. It didn't feel like, you know, like the problem I had with the Batman films. It very much had that sense that it wanted to be its own thing, which I really enjoyed. Sorry, it's my hay fever. Getting a bit sneezy. But yeah, it was like a standalone. It didn't feel like it didn't feel like it needed to rely on the other two movies. And I do quite like oh, what's his name? Oh, God, his name's completely popped out of my head. Oh God, I'll remember this when I'm on the toilet later. No, I can't remember. He was in Chaplin. Was the first major film I saw him in. But no, I can't remember. Oh, getting told there's some update on Vice. Yeah, of the Marvel movies, I'm really looking forward to the new Spider-Man movie, because the previous two Amazing Spider-Man movies were terrible. They felt really stupid. I think they should have left it longer between the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, because the first two were really good movies. The third one was a little bit wonky in places, even though I did like the Sandman character quite a lot in Spider-Man 3. But the Venom character, I think basically they should have gone for a bulkier actor. I'm quite happy to hear that along with the Spider-Man movie, I don't know how many years away it'll be, but there's going to be a Venom movie with Tom Hardy playing Venom, which well, he's playing Eddie Brock, but you know, he is one of my favourite actors, so well, I'm playing Mad Max here, but actually my favourite Tom Hardy role was in Bronson. He was absolutely amazing in that. He was very good as Bane as well, but really his Bane had no resemblance to the Bane from the comics at all. His Bane was more like a sort of mutilated terrorist. But I did like his lines, especially the one with the businessman and the business. He says, "Do you feel like you're in control?" And he just rests his hand on his shoulder. And oh god, it's just so menacing in that role. But he used a very strange accent as well, which I like. And Tom Hardy, he's a complete chameleon actor. That when he's playing a role, it's like I think he's like a method actor, but he gets completely into character. I remember seeing him. I can't remember what film he did. He did some film where he was playing an American.
Keep an eye out.
And he was being interviewed, and his accent kept slipping into the American, which I found quite interesting. But he's a really interesting bloke. Yeah. I like disco. I know it's a bit corny, but I like disco because it's got a nice balance of beats, and usually some disco tracks are quite tragic as well. If you ever actually read the lyrics of a song like "Don't Leave Me This Way," it's basically a man begging a girl who he's having a relationship with not to leave him. And "I Will Survive" is another quite good disco song that's got quite a dark background to it. But yeah, I do love the old disco. I can't find all this scrap. I don't know where it is. Maybe we've got to go around the back of the building. I particularly like European disco as well. One of my favourites is a fella called Caron, or Cerrone, as some bloke at work called it. But everything he made sounded good. You know, it didn't. Well, he's still doing music even today, I think it was part of the French version of American Idol. But you know, everything sounds rich and has a wonderful beat to it, and it's not wasteful with its music. It's I just love disco. Yeah. I think part of it is because sort of the influence of driving with my dad. My dad used to drive everywhere, and he quite liked Barry White music, which I sort of picked up.
Skilled and the quick, you've come very far, and with a great hunger. But
I always found Barry White's music very romantic, that many of his songs that are like he's having a conversation with a woman. Yeah, I'll skip what he's saying. New things. You know,
Most infidels fail to recognize the secret art.
because I quite like romantic stuff. I'm trying to. I gotta sit down at some point. I've joined a dating site that's a bit kinky, because I am kinky. But I've got to sit down and sort out the all the ins and outs, the payment method and all that. Because I've had girlfriends in the past, and but I've never had I've had relationships with men, but I've never had a boyfriend. My ideal would be to have a boyfriend and a girlfriend, because I like the poly idea, especially if it's a love triangle poly relationship. You know, if I ever won the lottery, I'd probably live with about 5 or 6 people. But you know, it's I got to win the lottery first. But I've always wanted to have like a large family base with you know, lots of children, lots of happiness. Because you don't really understand till you hit your sort of late 30s how families can literally just change in 10 years. People die. I lost probably, say, about 70% of my relatives in the space of like 15 years. Because well, my dad didn't get married till he was 35. My mum was like 20, but I wasn't born till my dad must have been 40. And then they got divorced. No, he must have been 35 actually. So they got divorced in 1980. But you know, I never actually felt jealous of other kids who had like big families and sort of lots of brothers and sisters. I had a sister, but she used to drive me mental by being a bit of a bully. But you know, we care about each other now, but a lot of my behaviour being very odd because I didn't know I was autistic, she used to find me a bit embarrassing. So I acted very childish for a long, long time. But, you know, I didn't know that I had autism until, well, like last year. Had my suspicions, though. I've met lots of women over the years who say that I'm way too honest to be a normal bloke. But I'm no good at lying, particularly to women. It's sort of... one of my first sort of relationships was a little bit of an abusive one, where I was abused. Emotionally and physically, and one of the reasons why, well, my best mate managed to break it up. He said that, you know, you're not normal, you're sort of a bit of a child, really. Still, I've seen lots of men in relationships that go wrong because they give and give and give, and then the woman they're with takes and takes and takes till it gets to the point where it's like a bully and is victim relationship, and it's not healthy. One of my theories about Steve Shives is that he's possibly in maybe it's just an abusive relationship, but there's a number of times I've seen his videos and his face looks puffy, like it's bruised. So, you know, he might be in an abusive relationship. You just don't know with people, especially people online. But from his body language, he doesn't look like someone who is sort of in a happy place.
Time's right.
Are you?
Like when I was criticising his Deep Space Nine. Oh no, Voyager. That was a Voyager video. Really, he didn't sound like he was complaining about Voyager at all. He sounded like someone who was basically in a miserable relationship that they couldn't get out of. You know, and he was sort of trying to blame something other than sort of being in a crap relationship. You know, I might be reading too much into how he sounded, but he definitely doesn't. You watch Steve Shive's videos and he doesn't sound like a bundle of joy. He certainly doesn't seem as happy as he once was, because I watched old Shive's videos and he was completely different. Just sort of 7 years ago, and it's very, very weird. You know, it's like a completely different person. I know some people do change. You know, my brother now, half brother, he's a lot more relaxed and balanced than he was. But there was a period where he was really right wing, bordering on sort of fascist right wing. Mainly because I don't think he was very happy. He was sort of doing a job that wasn't really paying well, and he had to do a lot of travelling to get to work. But yeah, I don't see my half brother and half sister that much, because, you know, the only real linkage to them was sort of my dad, and now my dad's gone. You know, I don't see my own sister that much either, really, because they live so far away. Oh. You know, it takes me about 3 hours train travel to get to where my my mum lives down there as well now. See, that's Scrotus is in there, but like I said before, the best thing to do on this game is really upgrade your car, because it gets, once you're inside that area, it's like a giant rubbish tip, and it's pretty tough. And I'm running out of petrol. Weather's been pretty crap where I am. It was, it's either been too hot or, well, it was raining today and it was quite cold. I was like, Jesus Christ, can't they make their mind up with the weather? Whoever they are. So having quite an interesting conversation on Twitter earlier with a very delectable porn star called Kiss of Sin, who's trying to learn Spanish, and I was sort of advising her, you know, we were sort of chatting. I found like an online thing for her, because you know, Spanish and Italian, supposedly they're easier to learn than French and German, because they're sort of musical. Spanish as well is pretty close to the Latin roots of most European language. Though I have been told that German and English are similar in lots of ways, but it's all about tone. French is actually one of the harder ones, I know, because I learned French at school and I used to hate it, because it has masculine and feminine like Japanese. Well, go straight to Jeets. Oh God, I'm fighting to stay awake here. It's the annoying thing about my job, I never feel completely sort of awake. You know, especially when I'm doing early shifts, because I don't always sleep that well, especially at the moment with how warm it's been. Oh, put my arm in some.
Say,
Weird.
if you're looking to gain the favor of the gods, you can always do a death run. The Crow-Dazzle's not far.
I had mosquitoes in my bloody flat when we had that heat wave. I was like, this is great. Now I'm going to get malaria. Thanks, Trump. I'm still amazed. I must be living in the Twilight Zone. How Donald Trump is in charge of anything. You know, I wouldn't trust him to run a bath, let alone a bloody country. Well, hopefully I'm going to be getting my new phone and my new, well, it's not new. I've got a decent phone. I've got an Xperia, but I've gone for some cheap piece of shit with a pay-as-you-talk. Because I did get caught short one day last week where fortunately I had, like, I forgot I put a recharger in one of my coat pockets, but I had to alert staff at a station about a drunk bloke on board, and I'd used up the battery on the phone. But like I said, I had my emergency battery, fortunately. But there's a ramp. Burn. Oh, I see. I've got to get up on top to hit that ramp. Oh.
Get out or you die!
How's it going?
Yeah, bloody mosquitoes. I keep leaping awake because they'd fly around my ear and I'd be like, ah!
They say once this whole white land was covered in water and salt. Believe it if you will.
I know it sounds morbid, but I'm hoping that Trump might have a stroke or a heart attack or something. Maybe someone will shoot him in the next couple of years because the Paris Agreement You know, I was staggered at the stupidity. I'm like, are you just crazy? You know, the agreement wasn't even written in stone. But no. Global warming is a Chinese conspiracy theory. I'm just like, you're fucking mental. This is a man who prides himself on his children. I'm like, so you don't fucking care about your own kids? You know, what are they going to inherit? Still, it's funny how some people are over-optimistic about things. I was listening to a podcast earlier and they were talking about how medical science might one day defeat death. And I'm like, well, no, it won't. You know, the people today are the lucky ones because the major viruses that are immune to antibiotics, they're only in small patches of societies around the globe. In the next 50 years they won't be, and we'll be back to people basically getting very, very ill and there not being any treatment for them. And it's been made all the worse by right-wing governments who basically
Keep an eye on the car.
want to make medical health something everyone has to pay for. Even the NHS is suffering because of the terrible mismanagement by, well, the Tories are terrible. I've not seen one policy that they've tried to push in that's been a success. Every time they put for a budget, you can guarantee about a week later they'll put through another budget that's oh bollocks! Trying to get up on that fucking strut. Oh bollocks! I'll just go back to what I was doing. Yeah, they put through stuff and then they're U-turning about a week later, and I'm like, how much money is all this costing? I don't fucking care about how much their policies are helping small businesses. Because they're not helping small businesses if they're taking in a load of taxes from the public and wasting them. It's like the whole stupid Brexit thing. That no one really in their right mind, apart from a few oddballs, agreed with. Oddballs and old people. Because they got less than... It got through on less than 24% of the population voting. And I'm like, well, what sort of system's that? It's one of the reasons why I reckon that we should have a mandatory voting system, like Australia. Then no one could say, oh, well, I didn't vote in this party. Ugh.
Come and die now! Come over here and fight like a man!
Come on. Yeah. Take that, you bitch. Right, I'll get the balloon working and then I'll finish up and I've got to go and have a sleep. My brain's just not in first gear. Zack. Oh, that's good. I don't have to go hunting out some fuel for this bloody thing. So stupid. It's because my shift's just too long. It's because, well, I was explaining this to a girl in a coffee shop earlier. I was saying that the reason why we've got this crappy bloody system where people work 9 hours, 15 minutes. Well, I don't. I work 10 hours because there's all the travel time. It was all put in by a desperate bloody Tory government trying to please Europe at the same time as putting through lots of sneaky taxation bullshit. So basically my employer had to alter it to make it look like I only work 4 days a week. But I don't, I work 7 days a week. And it's knackering. I work 7 days in a row, I get 2 off, and then I work another 7 days in a row, and then I got 5 off. But sometimes, particularly the switch over from earlies to lates, the first day I'll be like literally dead all day. I'm gonna sort of go to bed. Well, being in bed most of the day. And it's quite depressing as well when you just feel tired all the time. You know, I've got sores on my tongue at the moment where I'm run down. Ugh. But you tell people you're a utopian, they instantly surmise that you're a communist. And like, well, I'm not a communist because I don't think that communism's that good. I think communism's just like a mirror of fascism, except for they get rid of the Führer and they replace it with the party. Oh.
I'd never abandon her.
And up. Quite like this song. Da, 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 da.
We're gonna dry out. Better find some gasoline soon.
Oh, well, sorry if it was short. I'm having a lot of trouble trying to stay awake. Hopefully, I'm getting some new tech, so I might be starting a secondary YouTube channel where I can focus on doing video editing. Because I'm actually tempted to get an Apple Mac, because a friend of mine on Twitter does videos and she uses Apple Mac. Yeah, she uses Apple Mac for all her videos, so I think I'm gonna get one. Seen a quite decent one for about 330 quid, so might involve like 2 months of saving, but you know, well, I've had the same laptop for like nearly sort of 10 years, so I think it's about time I got some tech that's a little bit more updated. Anyway, I'll see you later, because I am falling asleep. Where are we? Toodaloo, see you later.